He built loyalty on celluloid and trust. Then 2020 rewrote the rules overnight. A studio bet big on streaming. A director bet bigger on theaters. Contracts rattled, phones burned, bridges smoked. You won't see Christopher Nolan's alliances the same way again. Stay tuned. Number 1. Christopher Nolan. Loyalty meets leverage. Los Angeles, 2020. For nearly 2 decades, his films sailed under the Warner Brothers flag, dark nights, folding cities, ticking dogfights, built for the biggest screens and the longest legs. The pact was simple. He delivered the event, they delivered the theater. Then a virus shuttered marquees, scrambled calendars, and spiked every forecast. Tenet became the canary, a bold, stubborn test of whether audiences would brave a labyrinth in masks. It opened where it could, staggered, slower than his usual thunder. Executives faced a winter of empty auditoriums and a spreadsheet that bled. But then, the strategy flipped. In December, the studio announced a radical plan. Its entire 2021 slate would drop day and date on the new streamer. Filmmakers learned with the public. Agents boiled. The message, from art to accounting, said survival meant subscriptions, not box office. Theater owners felt ambushed. Windows evaporated overnight. Here's the part people forget. Nolan's brand wasn't just spectacle. It was ritual. The pilgrimage to IMAX, the blackout campaign, the precise rollout. Day and date short-circuited that engineering. He saw loyalty as a two-way street. They saw relevance as platform growth. Trust, carefully accrued, suddenly sounded transactional. They went to bed with the worst streaming service. And the bill came due. He walked. The next film crossed the lot to Universal. Reports say with guarantees, a long exclusive window, premium large format support, muscular marketing, and a clear runway around release. The move wasn't revenge, it was architecture, reasserting the theatrical covenant in contracts, not memories. Which brings us to the uneasy truce that followed, and how one explosion reset every studio courtship. Number 2. The courtship. Leverage turned into paperwork. Early 2021, studio lots from Burbank to Century City opened their doors, politely masked, aggressively intent. Universal, Paramount, Sony, even streamers hungry for a trophy name. Meetings ran long, coffee turned cold. The pitch was primal. We will protect your ritual and prove we still matter. On paper, it worked. In person, it didn't, at least not for everyone. Some suitors dangled money and speed. Others offered data and algorithmic certainty. But Nolan's marketplace was not a spreadsheet. It was an aisle seat under a 12-story screen. He wanted proof of faith, not a quarterly trend line. He wanted theater first, written in ink. Here's the part people forget. The ask was not nostalgia. It was architecture. Reports say he insisted on a true exclusive theatrical window, robust premium large format access, and a marketing campaign paced for curiosity, not churn. The studio would time the runway, hush competing noise, and keep the mystery intact. That is how his events are built. Vivid detail. Multiple weeks of blackout around release. No competing studio titles, no internal crowding, an actual breathing space, and the bill came due. Universal stepped forward. Old school studio muscle. A modern launch plan and a promise to guard the experience. The budget was serious, the staging meticulous. The project itself carried voltage. A biopic constructed like a countdown. Science as suspense. Consequence as spectacle. The message to town was blunt. Give a director a covenant, get a cultural detonation. But then, expectations multiplied. If the deal delivered, it would embarrass streaming-first bravado. If it stumbled, the theater-first banner would droop under its own weight. Universal bet on momentum and myth-making. Nolan bet on ritual and craft. Both believed the audience would show up when invited properly, which brings us to the ignition point and how Oppenheimer became the proof. Number 3. Ignition, a movie as a countdown. Summer 2023, Universal rolls out a period epic like an event thriller. The campaign is austere. Teasers that tick, a date that stares back, a color palette that feels like hot metal. IMAX becomes cathedral. Word of mouth becomes sermon. The pitch is not nostalgia, it's velocity. But then, a strange duet forms. Across town, his former studio schedules a neon daydream on the same weekend. Not sabotage, commerce. Counter-programming by the book. The internet fuses them anyway. Memes rehearse the double feature. Multiplexes sell the joke and the ritual. You pick your order. Both expand each other's orbit. The noise is oxygen. Here's the part people forget. The film plays like a thriller, but lands like a reckoning. No capes, no digital rescue, just consequence. Reports say the rollout protects the silence. Long trailers in premium rooms, clean lanes on the calendar, no algorithmic bleed. Reviews thunder, curiosity compounds, legs appear, then harden into oak. Vivid detail. 70mm IMAX engagements sell out weeks ahead, with late-night slots stacked onto weekday schedules. And the bill came due. Box office climbs from respectable to phenomenon. Summer ownership tilts without capes. Theatrical windows hold. International press tours feel like tour stops, not content drops. The studio cements its bet. Protect the ritual, and it pays. The director cements his thesis. Design the invitation, and the audience arrives. Which brings us to the reckoning after the fireworks, the industry's apology tour, the awards corridor, and a public rebalancing of who needs whom. Number 4. The reckoning. Apology meets arithmetic. Autumn 2023 into early 2024. The awards corridor turns into a rolling negotiation with history. Screenings hum like summits. Q&As feel less promotional, more prosecutorial. How did theatrical nearly get written off? And who gets to claim the comeback? The director answers with process and principle. The studios answer with posture and plaques. From there, the silence did the talking. Grosses keep climbing through fall. The long window holds. International play deepens instead of evaporating. Pundits recalibrate mid-speech. Streamers stress both and, not either or. Agencies bring out spreadsheets and memory, showing the difference between platform churn and a cultural event that refuses to leave the marquee. Theaters lift sightlines. IMAX adds late shows on weeknights, like pop-up vigils. Here's the part people forget. Awards are mirrors and ledgers. Bodies vote, but they also signal budgets, slates, and copycat courage. Campaigns become clinics on how to sustain curiosity without overexposure. The film's press tour moves like a pendulum, science on one swing, craft on the other, while the studio guards the oxygen. Premium rooms, clean lanes, no internal cannibalization. The message lands: protect ritual, reap revenue. Vivid detail. A biopic with wall-to-wall dialogue crosses $900 million worldwide before the final trophies even post, and the bill came due. The sweep turns into leverage that can be measured. Studios recalibrate their courting scripts. Some mend fences in private. Others float public paeans to theatrical first. The director doesn't gloat. He codifies. The next negotiations will start from clauses, not warm feelings. The takeaway bites: relevance without ritual is rented, not owned. Which brings us to the détente, and whether old allies can find new terms without erasing the break that made this leverage possible. Number 5. Détente. Leverage turns into policy. Early 2024 conversations circle back to first principles, but with new math. The town has seen a clean window power a cultural wave. The director has seen clauses hold when feelings fail. Old allies call. New allies double down. Everyone reads the same ledger and reaches for a different pen. On paper, it looks simple. Mend fences, preserve options, promise flexibility. In practice, it's triage. Studio chiefs juggle slates warped by backlog and strikes. Theaters finally breathe and beg for consistency. Streamers tout growth while trimming excess. The ask is no longer romance, it's a rule set. If you want the ritual, write the ritual. If you want the data, wait your turn. But then, memory intrudes. Trust broke in public. Apologies were routed through trades, not phone calls. Insiders recall side rooms where guarantees were aspirational, not enforceable. Emails talk in hedges. The director answers with architecture. Calendars locked early, premium rooms held. Silence protected. Anything less sounds like yesterday's pitch. Vivid detail. The commitment specifies an exclusive theatrical window before any digital availability. Stated plainly, signed, and scheduled. Here's the part people forget. Detente is not reunion. It's terms. Former partners can share a weekend and still not share a covenant. The director doesn't punish, he designs. The studios that align with design get access. The ones that chase relevance on a dashboard get press releases, not pictures. Results, not sentiment. Decide the next call. And the bill came due. A new baseline emerges. Theater first, by contract, not campaign slogan. Premium formats aren't perks, they're pillars. Windows aren't favors, they're the framework. The guidance travels beyond one filmmaker, into deal memos and staffing charts. Which brings us to the pivot point, what legacy looks like when every bidder speaks theatrical, but only a few can hold the line. Number 6, the pivot. Legacy turned into a playbook. Late 2024 into early 2025, the town mouths the same creed, theatrical first, but each building means something different by it. Marketing wants spectacle. Distribution wants weeks. Streaming wants velocity. The director wants ritual protected by paper, not vibes. On paper, it looks solved. In the hallways, it frays. Calendars buckle under backlog. Big screens are finite and slates are hungry. A promise to support premium is easy in a meeting and impossible when 3 tentpoles chase one weekend. The old reflex, drop it online and call it reach, still whispers in budget rooms. Here's the part people forget. The fight isn't art versus technology, it's cadence versus churn. Reports say the agreements now specify silence around openings, long-led IMAX holds, and staging that sells curiosity, not content dumps. The director's camp checks the oxygen, teaser timing, trailer placement, no noisy partners cannibalizing the lane. Faith is scheduled. Vivid detail. Premium large format auditoriums are reserved for consecutive weeks before any internal title can displace them. But then, relevance rears up. A surprise algorithmic hit tempts leadership to flex. Memos propose experimental windows. The same hymn, a different melody. Agents forward clauses. Exhibitors push back. The director declines cheerfully and repeats the blueprint. If the experience is the brand needs air. He will trade breadth for depth every time. From there, the silence does the talking. Projects that honor the covenant hold, travel, and linger. The rest flare and vanish. Studio chiefs study the ledger and rephrase ambition as sequence. Build the room, own the moment, rent the stream later. Legacy, it turns out, is a release pattern with receipts attached, not a statue on a shelf. And the bill came due. The new normal isn't a slogan, it's enforceable choreography. Theaters get weeks, formats get priority, and campaigns breathe. The director's leverage becomes precedent for anyone who can open a weekend on craft, not brand extension. Which brings us to the aftershocks. How rival filmmakers, guild politics, and exhibitors rewrite their own terms under this shadow. Number 7, aftershocks Precedent learns to walk. Early 2025, rival filmmakers tour the same lots with new swagger. They cite receipts, not romance. Exhibitors nod harder than they used to. Guild conversations shift from slogans to clauses. Everyone wants the ritual, but not everyone can earn it. Scarcity makes the choir sing on key. On paper, it seems copy-paste. In person, it isn't. Studios offer case by case, then try to tuck exceptions into footnotes. Some directors have opening power. Others have hopes and a deck. Distribution argues calendars. Marketing argues noise. Streaming argues momentum. The fight is polite, but the subtext bites. Who deserves oxygen and who rents it by the hour? Here's the part people forget. A template isn't a trophy. It's a test. Reports say exhibitors now ask about premium holds before they ask about stunts. Agencies circulate sample language. No cannibalizing titles in week 1. No surprise drops. No late pivots to hybrid. The strongest leverage is no longer fealty to a logo. It's the ability to turn a weekend into a month. Vivid detail. Overflow Guild panels where the first question is, how many IMAX weeks did you get? But then, the backlash forms. Mid-budget dramas claim they're squeezed by cathedral favoritism. Streamers dangle freedom and speed to talent, tired of waiting for a runway. A few studio boards want the old flex back, algorithmic heat over aisle seat patience. Exhibitors counter with numbers that look like weather patterns. When the ritual holds, the ecosystem reigns. From there, the silence does the talking. Films that stage curiosity breathe and travel. Films that chase now, flare, and fade. The town relearns cadence, tease, listen, place, protect. The director's playbook spreads not as ego, but as engineering. How to turn attention into attendance, and attendance into legacy. Credit circulates, so does envy. The center holds for now. And the bill came due. Precedent hardens into policy, but only for those who can back it with performance. Theaters shape programming around anchors. Studios rewrite greenlight math with windows in ink. The guilds debate how to safeguard the cadence across budgets and voices. Which brings us to the long memory of breakups and reunions. What reconciliation looks like when everyone talks ritual, but the ledger decides. Number 8, reconciliation, memory versus math. Mid-2025, the room changes temperature. The old ally who triggered the schism signals warmth in quiet ways. Friendly profiles, careful shoutouts, couriers of contrition. The town reads the tea leaves like contracts. Agents game out scenarios. Exhibitors daydream about a hometown victory lap. Legacy wants a bridge. Relevance wants proof. On paper, it's simple. Bygones, champagne, a press photo. In practice, it's a trust ledger. The director doesn't trade on speeches. He trades on scaffolding, calendar control, premium protection, and the oxygen of silence. The ally can promise anything in a handshake. The only language that lands is enforceable. The last rupture taught him that loyalty without paperwork is a rumor wearing a suit. But then, the pitch grows sophisticated. We've evolved, they say. Windows are back. Partners are aligned. Reports say meetings tread through specifics. How many weeks locked? How many formats held? How much runway carved? How little noise within the house? Marketing nods, distribution sweats, streaming stays politely off camera. Everyone wants the headline. Only one party wants the air. Here's the part people forget. Reunion isn't romance. It's a flowchart with signatures. The director's playbook leaves room for plenty, just not for drift. If the experience is the brand needs a moat. If the moat cracks, the castle floods. He listens, smiles, and asks the only question that matters. Can you protect the ritual when it's inconvenient? Vivid detail. Proposed language, requires consecutive premium weeks and a blackout on internal competition in the opening frame. And the bill came due. The ally can meet the standard or admit the building still worships speed over sequence. Either answer clarifies the future. If they deliver, the town will call it healing. If they balk, the town will call it history. The director isn't keeping score. He's keeping cadence. Which brings us to the final calculus. What legacy means when every promise is timed, signed, and measured against a crowded calendar. Legacy isn't a statue. It's a schedule that holds. The Rupture proved what the ritual costs and what it pays. Studios chase relevance. He sells cadence. Awards gild the ledger. Receipts make the case. Apologies fade. Clauses don't. The breakup taught the town to time faith, not declare it. That's the playbook. Build the room. Guard the air. Let the film speak. Tell me, what would you lock first? Weeks, formats, or silence? Like and subscribe for the next breakdown.